Bona nit. Com
Hello,
esteu?
good evening, how are you?
Bé?
Are you
Gràcies
good?
per venir
So thank
a
you. Thank you very
acompanyar-nos
much for
a la nit al
coming,
Pati de les
coming
Dones,
on a Friday
a sentir
evening
aquestes
at
dues
the
persones
Patio de las
meravelloses,
Donas,
aquí no
listening
calen
these
gaires
two
presentacions,
amazing
però sí que
individuals. I don't
m'agradaria
really need to
un mica que
introduce
aquesta
them,
xerrada
but
serà
let me
en anglès,
say
així que
that
tenim
first of
com que
all,
perills de traducció
this
instantània.
debate is going to be in English in case you need the
Vale.
simultaneous translation
I
device,
després
and
fer una petita
also
presentació
allow me to
de
briefly
per què hem
introduce
convidat a Carla
and say
Simón i a
why we have
Audrey Diwan
invited
amb
Carla
nosaltres
and
aquesta nit.
Audrey.
La faré en anglès,
And the
així que
presentation is going to
comencem.
be straight away in English.
Kind, sensitive, and irreducible. This is how we like to think about Agnès Varda and Agnès Varda's work. But this adjective can also describe the flaming filmographies of Audrey Diwan and Carla Simón. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's start. Posem-nos a la feina. So this event is called Hereves de Varda, Heresies of Varda. Do you guys feel like heresies of Varda? Who would like to start?
First, I need to get used to my voice in that big place.
Right?
It's hard to say about yourself you're the heiress, but I can say how strongly I felt about her, how inspired, and how some of her movies clearly were guides for my work, yeah.
Yeah, I think... Una cosa, sentiu una música?
Sí,
Jo-
estem tenint música que ens està sortint per aquí al bafle esquerra-dret, depenent de com ho
I think
miris.
that there is some music
Yeah.
playing that maybe we... No? Potser la paguem.
Ara ens ho han
Per
posat com a ambient de bar. A veure...
Bueno,
Ara, perfecte,
perfecte.
genial.
Ara, molt millor, és que si no és com difícil.
Ara sembla que estiguem soles. Ok, all right.
Bueno, vale, pues a veure. I think that it's just very inspiring watching Agnès Varda's films. No, it's like that. This kind of creator that when you watch her films, you feel like creating. Like it gives you this energy to kind of go and make your films, however you do it. No, and it's I guess because she's so playful on the way she makes films. She experiments so much that. That yeah, it gives energy for you to keep going and do whatever, but do it, no?
But I'm wondering, I'm as inspired by her film than by her, because she represents something in the movie industry, especially in France. She arrived and she defined her own space. And at first, because she didn't study cinema, so for her, she thought she didn't belong there. And then she decided that freedom would be her path, that she shouldn't think that cinema is sacred. It is something you have to involve yourself in, absolutely, but you can actually go and make things. And not only movies, but pictures. Like, I know her daughter, and she has new ideas every day because art is everywhere. So she transformed the idea of creating into something playful, but open to everybody, which by this time was not something we saw quite regularly. So she opened the door in that sense. And we know her as her films, like Agnès Varda is a character.
But it's also a real person. You two have met her. Can you tell us about these meetings?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that she was very how do you say accessible.
Accessible.
Accessible, yeah, because she was this kind of director that you could find in film festivals. So the first time that I saw her, it was in San Sebastian, and then in Cannes we had a dinner in a program that is called Women in Motion, and I sat next to her, and we had a long conversation. She had just finished her last film, and she was with her daughter because they were always together, no? And I was like so surprised how genuine, like in a very genuine way, she was interested by like what I was doing. And because she was this kind of person, she likes people, like all of the people, no? And I think that this gives you some kind of like hope of like another kind of, I think that somehow she broke the idea of the genius, no? Because like there are filmmakers that really kind of fit this idea that they are a genius, no? And you think I can never do something like they do, or I don't know how they do it. This is impossible somehow to make films, no? And I think that somehow she was close to the people and also sharing their work and her way of doing films that gave us like this sense of like being like the possibility of being close to her, no? Also being in places and meeting people. No?
But she works on the idea of gaze. And for her, gaze isn't only her gaze on things, but how people look at her work and look at the world. So it often happens that in her movie, people are looking at the camera, which is not a quite classical process, because she wants to catch the gaze. And the gaze of people watching is inside the movie. A bit too young for this, I guess.
Do you think, guys, now we're having an exhibition on Añe Varda finally here in the center of Barcelona, so we have our own focus. But do you think as a society we're ready to like acknowledge her as a creator justly right now, with justice?
Yeah, I think the exhibition, and I hope that everybody here saw it, because I had the feeling that I knew many things about her, but it's so huge. You have so many different items, movies, writing, that I'm still learning, and I really appreciate that. But the simple fact that there are so many people here and that the exhibition exists proves that the perception of her work has changed, because she suffered a lot. She arrived with the French Nouvelle Vague, and she didn't feel she was so very considered, that like her, but her work wasn't that important at the beginning. So she struggled with that idea, and I know her daughter works hard on showing her work and trying to show the heritage. And I'm sure she would have been happy to see that. You know what? Because it's also chaos. She does so many different things that when you go in that exhibition, you're going to be surprised. You have the jacket of Vagabond. I never thought I was going to see the real jacket of Vagabond. So it's reality, it's concrete. So it's theoretical in a way, but it's also very alive. And I think it looks like her.
It's also a contradiction. We were talking about earlier, Audrey and I visited the exhibition, and we were talking about how contradictory it is to see the jacket of Vagabond inside a museum, actually, as a work of art,
Yes,
in a way.
But I feel that, I really think it's the right or a very interesting moment to give value to her work, because when I went out of the exhibition, I felt that maybe like that we have a lot to learn about her work, and also herself and her way of living and her way of like making films out of her life. But also I felt a little bit coward somehow, because
You feel-
coward, like we don't dare enough, because you get out of there and it's like, she was all the time experimenting. And in the way that we make films now, this is not so allowed. Like you can do it, but you have to be careful, because maybe nobody will see your film. No?
Sure.
So the way that we create now, we think, or they make us think, I don't know, a lot about the audience, and if the people will be liked, the films will be liked by people. And I had the feeling that she was not creating from this, from this kind of motivation, no? That she was just creating like through things that she liked and she would like to experiment. And I think that today I feel that we don't dare as much as she did,
No, sure, because now this is more the problem of the industry, because it has become such an industry. But it's interesting because I asked her daughter many questions about how she reacts when a movie goes out, because she was brave. So she felt free whenever she creates. But then she was really vulnerable about how people are people going to see the movie, and even the critics. And we talked about Le Bonheur. Do you know the translation? Which is a movie I love, but she told me that when it came out, it was a very, very hard time for her because critics didn't understand the film as feminists said, you're working on behalf of patriarchy. So she had the feeling that nobody understood what she had done. And it's always interesting to see how a movie travels in time and reveals its own nature with the time, because I think that the perception of the movie has deeply changed now. And sometimes you're very early, and sometimes our freedom make her be very early. So she tries things, and I don't think it's provocative, but she's beyond herself being provocative because she's so free.
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny that you say that because I remember seeing like her presentation in Berlin of her last film, like after the film finished and everyone was clapping, and she had a scarf and she went like that, you know, like covering her face, and I thought, oh my God, she's 90 and she still has this feeling, so this never goes away, you know, of like the fragility that you feel when you show a film.
I hope you understand we're talking about ourselves there.
As well.
Asking about fragility and trying to understand one day, are we not going to feel that way at the end of a movie? And the answer is no.
Always, you will feel like that. No?
Thank you for not stopping to be fragile. I think fragility is very important to share it in these kind of spaces, usually dominated by male filmmakers and this male culture of ovations and stuff. Listen, I would like to talk about Varda as a political filmmaker because I would like to tend these bridges toward, like, between Varda and the matters that occupy us today. Then this first question might be a little bit broad, but Varda was a political filmmaker and she made political documentaries. What subjects do you think she would be interested if she were alive right now?
Wow, that's a very hard question.
Yeah.
I know, but I have a very good guess.
What I think about her is that she always tried to show what's hidden. So I would guess that she would like to show things that are not normally shown. I'm very sensitive to a relationship to body. You've got in Les Plages d'Agnès, she put images from a very old short movie she did. And you see bodies of very old women, like the great age, like 90, something you never ever see, something that doesn't exist on screen. And because it's her, she showed the beauty in it, and you share that. So it's very different bodies, and she's doing it with her body as well. And she's sharing this vision, trying, not telling you what to see, but trying to share what she sees, you know. As for the potatoes, I don't know if you're familiar with her work with the potatoes. So she takes the potatoes that doesn't fit, that like the shape is not, that's the one you're not going to buy. And sometimes she keeps it until it's rotten, and she tried to look at it differently. Because something there in the mutation, in the change, is fascinating, but also beautiful. So I think that the great impact politically is that she opens window on things we are not normally looking at.
More a sensitivity or a sensibility towards politics than the political subjects in itself. That is really interesting, and I think that is the basis on queer cinema right now. Learning how to transcend representation and learn how to make things queer or make queer films in the way that the language can be queer. I don't know, Carla, what do you think about that?
No, but I was just thinking that something that she would surely be interested in, I think, maybe not, but it's like how open love became, no, like now, because it's something that maybe I'm trying to think that I didn't see so much in her films before, like they were so new in many things, no, and so like ahead of her times, but maybe this like open love that we have now.
But you know, it's funny because she has made direct political films. She's made movies about Cuba. I mean, sometimes politics is the topic. But my feeling is that the strongest political work of her own is intimacy. When that was not the topic, but through what she says, it becomes political. I mean, and she was early on various subjects when she talks about le gâchis alimentaire, like throwing food and not using it. Like very early, she said things about how we treat nature and showing people trying to live and survive and working with hers. And so I think this kind of stories through intimacy, she brings us to another level of conscious, political conscious, I guess.
That's amazing. Thank you. She was very concerned politically, but she also, and that is a thing I like a lot about her, in the times where it wasn't that obvious, she was very concerned about her privilege. At the same time, using it as a tool to express and to denounce other people's sufferings, and being aware of other people's sufferings and using your privilege to denounce it is not that obvious. Being an ally is not that easy. And she said, she used to say, and this is a quote, the possibility of keeping quiet and doing nothing is always there, but it's better to make a film of everything. Do you agree? We can always make a film of everything. Can we always denounce other? Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think that what is very beautiful about her work is that she likes people. And this seems something very obvious when you're a filmmaker, but I think that with her it's something that you feel like she likes faces, she likes filming people, and somehow in her films she always portrays or gives voice, the voice to people in the same way, like as an equal, you know, and this is, I think that's something very interesting that not everyone can do, and I think it has to do with like her approach in a very humble way.
I never thought about it that way, but I think that what you say is very true because there is no bad people in her movie. There is no opponents. You have people trying to find themselves. I was very, very inspired in my early age by Vagabond. And it's only the portrait of a girl who decides to be and stay free wherever. But she's not fighting against people. She's just going out of the system. And I think it's not easy to try not to rely on that structure, dramatically speaking about how she writes. And she decided to do something more complicated by trying to depict a story, but not using those tools.
Yeah, and also she doesn't judge people, or she doesn't try to like give a message through their characters somehow, which I think that it's something very powerful. And then I read also that she was not interested on like portraying rich people, and I thought like, ah. And then I thought of her films, and it's true that they are not films of like
Very evil characters.
no, but like rich or bourgeois.
Rich.
Yeah, like rich or upper class.
Okay.
Not really. Like if you think of her films, no. So, but it was like, yeah, I'm not interested on them basically, no. So it's also like something that because cinema, we all know that it started being made, but only upper class, and then we're starting
it belongs
change.
to the upper class, yeah.
But this is something interesting, no?
It's really interesting. Joanna Hawke is a filmmaker that only centers in rich people, and she does it in a very humble and humane way. But I believe, yeah, there's other realities that can be represented. Absolutely. I would like to take out another quote. She said, "Our times are not very cheerful. As for the, quote, power, violence, woman, truth subjects, so these important subjects, I would like to treat them with the same humor with which Woody Allen looks as the Jewish intellectuals of New York." I know Woody Allen is cancelled right now, but do you think we need humor to look at these very important subjects, like capital letters, woman, power, truth?
I don't think she's doing it all the time. It depends on the movie. Sometimes she is, sometimes she's not. I was thinking about how she films. For instance, sometimes I can feel that she's smiling about a character, playing with an archetype. Like, for instance, Cléo de 5 et 7. It's about that singer, which is not an artist. But even her, she's going to show you in a very short period of time that someone can make a revolution, and you are going to trust that that girl has changed. And there is something in that movie that really struck me. In the middle of the movie, there is a song that she wrote herself, Varda wrote herself. And the girl thinks she's going to die, so time suddenly has value. It's a different time that she's using because everyone in the street has a normal life. It's a nice day, and she might die soon. So two different timing are struggling one with each other. And in the middle of the film, there is a very long shot, and she starts singing, and suddenly the words have a meaning, and you can hear her singing and putting meanings in the words. And you see the revolution of the girl who's slowly changing from that girl only looking at herself in mirrors to a real artist. And I think that's her trust. She can actually show people even some archetype that makes her smile and show she can be an artist. By the way, she picked Corinne Marchand, who was a singer, not the best one, and she made her be that actress in that movie and be that great artist in that movie. So it's like doing the movie and showing in the same time that this can happen. You give people the faith, the confidence, and you see it becoming true in front of your eyes. So that's magical power, actually.
I think it all comes to, we were talking about this film earlier, Irving Rapper's Now Voyager, La extraña pasajera. There's this quote I really like a lot. If you want people to like you, you first have to like people. And that might be the Añé Varda formula in a way. And you cannot like someone if you can't go further away from the archetype or the formula or this stereotypical image. But I don't know if you feel humor has an importance in talking nowadays about
I think
important subjects.
it's true that not in all her films, no, because like Leo is quite serious, no, somehow. But maybe there is something in her films that because she's very very playful on the way that she uses film language. Like even if something is serious, she always brings some light, and I think that she doesn't take very seriously her film somehow. I mean, she takes it seriously, but what I mean is that the fact that she's trying and experimenting all the time, for me, also goes with this sense of like trying things out that make me think that somehow there is some humor, but it comes also because of this concept of being playful, no, I think.
Listen, guys, this is a butad, okay? So you can tell me no. But do you think Añé Varda would have been a great TikToker?
You know what? Probably. Probably because she has no boundaries. Like, I'm pretty sure that if she had discovered it, she would tell Rosalie, hey, today we're going to make a TikTok. Like, it's playing with image, so why not, The question is what she would have done on TikTok. But, I think humor, she used humor when she depicts herself. Most of her films are pretty serious, and when she's in the middle of the picture, then she makes you smile because I think she doesn't want to be otherwise because that was what people were expecting from her. You have to be serious because you're a filmmaker. So she made a great point saying, no, I'm going to be a filmmaker, but I won't be serious only to please you. So yeah, probably following that kind of idea, she would have been a TikToker only to see people say, what is she doing on TikTok? And then she wouldn't care.
Why is she filming this potato or something? Yeah. I feel, and you might agree or not, but I feel for Añé Varda, and I feel for her as a very innocent, playful, but also very wise person. So I tend to understand her either as a child or childish person or as a grandmother. And I don't know if this disempowers her in a way, or actually if we should be like giving more power to children and to grandmothers. Do you think we like not feel or not think that children and grandmothers nowadays are, valuable people as, standard male adults?
She filmed various kind of people, and I think she works a lot on transmission. I think that was important to her, and I mean, talking about how you work avec la terre on the ground, and everything that can get lost if people don't relate to others. So everything that is oral traditions. And so she would film it in order for this to still exist. And that involved different generations. So she really paid attention to those different generations. But I was thinking about your question earlier. What topic would interest her? And I really do think that she would do something about older people, because those films are clearly, she did, by the way, but it's clearly missing. And with a society that is changing so much and is so interested in youth, I think she would have tried to show things in a way that probably was scared, but she would show us that we're wrong to be scared.
Carla, this is a very important subject for your
Yes,
filmography.
yeah. No, because I'm thinking that why do we have this image of her? Because I kind of have it somehow too, like, but not in a bad like way to like disempower her. Like it's the other way around. Because also, she filmed children a lot. No, actually, I don't know. I think of Le Bonheur with like the kids are really small, like really little in this film, and they are so magic somehow, no, in the way that they play. And I mean, she had children like in many films, no, and also old people. So, and I think that the interesting thing is that she also treat them as clever people, you know. So I think that somehow. Also, because she's so playful again, no? Like, I think that she was always like a little child making films, even if she was older, no? So this is something that I think that it gives us this image of her. But then it's interesting to see like some interviews of her, like when she was younger, and we were talking about that before, no? Like. So some of the interviews you have like this male interviewer and kind of like asking uncomfortable questions to her, and you see how she responds. And oh my God, you know, like it's so clever and so precise. And then she somehow, in a very nice way, always, she makes them shut up somehow, no? So I think, and then it makes me think, wow, you know, like, because now we skipped luckily this part, but it was so hard for her, like the only woman or one of the few women making films at that time, you know, and she did Le Bonheur or Kung Fu Master, and like all these films that today still like make us think about what they mean, no? And they still are a little bit revolutionary, no? And they are like definitely ahead of her time. It's like how she defended them. I mean, obviously it's an adult thing, no?
But you know, it's funny because I remember one thing. Sorry, I'm not answering questions. I just have memory, so I share it.
No, please.
I wrote the first part when they re-edited Cléo de 5 à 7. They asked me to write the first pages.
Which are really good, by the way. If you know some French, please check them out.
And Rosalie, her daughter, sent me the notebooks, how she prepared. And something is quite stunning because you feel the freedom when you see the movie. But she knows exactly what she's going to do. She says shots, and I compared the notebook to the movie. And she knows exactly what she's going to do, how she's going to do it. Like, for instance, in Cléo de 5 à 7, when the girl changes after the metamorphosis, she reversed the camera because she wants to be in her eyes, and she starts filming the world, people, this interest that she has now for the world. And everything was so precisely explained in the notebooks. And then, and that's magic, you don't feel it. It felt spontaneous, and it's exactly thought before. So I think that's something that as a filmmaker I'm really interested in. How do you make something so well prepared look so spontaneous? Where is your energy to transform this from this idea to something you can share?
Carla, you're a filmmaker. Do you have any,
Of this
help?
I don't know. No, but it's like it's difficult, but it's also nice to think that she was like preparing everything, you know, like even if it's playful, you have to prepare what you are doing, no? And I think that this feeling of, because I think a lot of these films feel very alive, no? Like the way that the characters are playing, and also because some of them have kids and all this, you know, it's a. But this doesn't mean that they are not like perfectly prepared, you know, like she obviously she has a lot of documentaries where she probably gets the camera and films whatever she
Sure.
finds, but it doesn't mean that these films are done this way, because they are very cinematic as well, you know, like you can feel in the shots and in the way she's shooting that this has been thought before, no?
Yeah, and how she manages time, it's really clever. Really clever. Guys, okay, so
Looks
do
like a
you
tricky
think?
question.
Yeah, I'm about to do this. Okay. Do you think now, 2024, have we finally transcended the archetype of the mother and the whore that Añe Varda was fighting so insistently against during her whole career? Or we're still there?
I think it's still a topic and very, I mean, as being French, we had at least two very good movies interrogating this, asking that through the movies. It's Saint-Omer from Alice Diop. I don't know if some of you have seen it. And the Palme d'Or, Anatomie d'une chute, Justine Triet's movie. And I think that if we keep asking the question, that the answer is not quite clear. But yeah, no, there's still a struggle from representation and how people perceive. Both of the films are court situation, so it's about the judgment. So if we have to judge and we are in the position of the jury, it means that we are asked that question.
Yeah, no, I think that we're on our way, no? Like now, I feel that there is no way back to keep questioning this.
Okay.
But we still have to question a lot, you know? Like you see these films or others or like, or life itself, we don't have to go to films, that, this is still there. So I think that luckily, I mean, I mean, we see it, there are more women also making films, which means that the narrative will change. It's not yet there, but I think that the path is open somehow. You know, Agnès Varda for sure started opening it, and then we have to continue.
There's this one film, Audrey released Emmanuel a few weeks back. We're hoping to see it on VOD really soon. There's also this new film from A24, directed by Halina Rain, called Baby Girl, coming out. Really interesting. And this brings me to another Añe Varda film, which is Kung Fu Master, a love story between a mother and a very young teenage boy. You've seen it both, I think. What do you think about the film? Because nowadays it might sound as problematic, story-wise.
Yeah.
The time are changing, so I think we need to watch them, placing them in context, because what is freedom for an era will represent something bad for the next one. But here is the thing. She reminds me of Annie Arnaud. She recently published a book about her love affair as being a woman of 55 with a very young boy. Not that young, but a young boy. But I think they both have the same impulse, you know. How many of the stories have you seen with reverse situation? Why are we asking the question? Do you imagine how many movies? And it's not even the topic. You just see men with very young girls. It's not even the topic. Here, she shows something, asking the question, how much can we bear about that story? You know, easily. It's not the topic, you see them living that story, and then you have to define your own path. I think it still works because she doesn't tell you what to think. She trusts the audience. I think she had trouble because of that, because sometimes the audience doesn't understand what she's saying, and when the sense of it is not crystal clear, then people have attacked her. But here she's just showing people, and then you have to make up your mind and replace the movie in context. So because it can be problematic, it has to exist for us to ask ourselves the question, how our gaze have changed? Has it really changed? And what about the other movies?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it made a huge impact on me, this film, you know, because what you were saying, like you've seen the other way around story with men and young women and or girls, no, and we're used to it, and then suddenly you see this and you're like, whoa, is it good or it's not good, you know? And now we are judging these kind of stories with men and young women, but before we cannot even judging them as we do now, you know. So suddenly the fact that it doesn't tell you what to think, I think that it also like somehow makes it like I have nothing against this film. I think that it's so important that it exists, you know, like, and also I think that she did it with her own son and with Jane Birkin and her
That's
own
weird.
daughters.
Yeah.
But somehow it's like, I don't know if she could have done it with someone else, you know, because you go to someone and tell this story, maybe like nobody wants to be in this film, you know. So she did it in a very like, I don't know, like you are in the film and you feel the feelings of all of them, which I think that it's very complex, and that's why I think it's so good, no, the film.
I think she's also doing it because she realized she can talk about it. And it's about women's topic. And as a filmmaker, I really experienced very funny things. For instance, when I decided to do Happening about illegal abortion, many people in the industry told me, why do you want to make that movie? Because you already have a law in your country, so you are allowed to have abortion. And that really makes me laugh because I was like, okay, so let's not make movies about World War II, I guess it's over. And it's really something, you realize that our topics are, in a way, always complicated because we have to struggle with, this story is boring, right? And if time has changed, and actually they have not, then why are you making that film for? And I had several occasions to, and a funny experience with the last one about sexuality. And so I made a remake about Emmanuel, which is a very well-known erotic French film. And there was a huge misunderstanding that is, to me, very fascinating, because lots of people said, I don't feel excitement. I don't think she's exciting. And I was like, oh, well, right, but that's not the topic. It's about that woman that doesn't feel pleasure. And I realized that I was allowed to talk about female pleasure only if I give pleasure. And, you know, that struggle she started, I think we're still experiencing it. And it suddenly put lights on a mindset. And it's also good because then we can all discuss about it and realize, you know, what are our habits as an audience.
This is like a super topic. But Anye Varda was very interested also in this, you know, undressing, physical and mental undressing. So like showing the true part of ourselves. If undressing is showing the true part of ourselves, this is a question as well. Do you think nowadays that we're more visible than ever? Like we are on social media all the time. In times of hyper visibility, is still important to like undress, or privacy is no longer, you know, or intimacy is you know, has changed in time?
I think that she, in the exhibition, I took it on picture. There are several pictures of, like, I think right after the pregnancy. and you can see very close some small picture, her face, and also her vagina, and different. And it's very interesting because I don't think it's about being naked. It's about being out of standards. And the thing she's always doing, and I think it still works nowadays, is she's getting out of standards. She's going beyond the representation we normally see on screen. And she dare doing that, and for people to do it with her, she's doing it with herself. I mean, can you imagine yourself putting those pictures actually hanging on the wall there, and it's you? So it's an act of bravery. I don't think that she's doing it because she wants to be seen. I think she wants to open a gate starting by herself, and saying, let's do it. Let's show the truth, and let's deal with the truth of the body. And suddenly you're like, oh, that's strong. It's very simple. There are so many things to see, you can not pay attention. But suddenly I was like, she's really doing that.
But I feel that, I mean, her way of undressing, to me, it has nothing to do with like today's Instagram way of undressing, no? Like, I don't feel that even if she like filmed herself a lot and all this, like, there is nothing narcissist about it. Like, for me, it comes more from the need to express as a filmmaker or as an artist, no? And I think that because life and art are so close to her, no? Because she always, like, this is something that fascinates me, no? Like, this ability of create from her own life, and they go together. Like, for her, I think that filmmaking or creating in general, no? Because she's done everything, is a way of living, no? Like, she wouldn't be able to live without, like, doing all this art that she's doing. So then she looked at herself, but not only herself, also her family and like everything that is close to her or that she's discovering while she's living, no? And I think that because of that, because for her, like, making films is a way of living, I think that then it comes this feeling of undressing. And also she has this ability as well to make us follow her journey on creating. Like, you really understand seeing one film after the other, like what she's looking for, trying out in each. So there's something very didactic as well on her way of like showing her work or creating her work. No, so I think that this is what make us feel that she's undressing, but in a very genuine and truthful way. That for me really doesn't have nothing to do
with the body.
Yeah. She was also very scared by age. And I'm so sorry because Rosalie, her daughter, told me a sentence that I love, but I'm not able to, I'm going to badly translate it, and excuse my English, but she says, in French, she says, vieillir, c'est pas pour les chochottes. Okay, I don't have French there.
So getting old is
not
not
for-
for les chuchotes.
It's not for, if I say it badly, and I'm sorry, I'm going to blush, but it's not for pussies. It's like you have to be, and she was saying that, okay, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to try to see what's happening with me. And you see in the exhibition, you have two hands, I guess, one is her daughter and the other one is hers. So you see times going, and she says, it's the first time for me. And of course, life is going on and it's the first time for everybody. So she wanted to portray that, trying to look at it in a way, and that's also something she wanted to share.
I must say it's also very interesting to inspect her figure as an author from the author theory, because we usually understand authors as trying to use film as a therapy or trying to understand themselves, which is valid, okay. But I think it's more valuable to understand Agnès Varda as a person who was adding things up to her world. So like constructing this kind of person character, almost like Dali in a way, where you can see these crystals of Agnès Varda all around her, but also like not as a carcass or as a way to protect her true self, but as a way to expand and grow into the world. And this is like almost understanding author as a superorganism nowadays. I think this is very contemporary, and I think we should be expanding our theory thanks to people like Añé Varda, not trying to like fit them into categories that are outdated in a way. I think we have to talk about other filmmakers. In the 2000s, yeah, in the 2000s, Añé Varda started making movies about herself and started, recycling her own works and started, containing her works so they could be handled in a way in her films. Let's compare her, for example, to Francis Ford Coppola or to Kevin Costner, who have raised fortunes to make colossal films that are flopping in box office right now. Do you think contemporary cinema, and this is a boutade as well, might need more Agnès Vardas than Francis Ford Coppola, for example?
Tricky question. I think they're so different that it's very hard to compare. I think what Francis Ford Coppola just did is both insane and an act of pure freedom. Saying, I gave enough to my family and friends. Actually, his money comes from wine, I guess.
Yeah.
So not even from movies. But then he said, I'm going to take that money and do exactly whatever I want, yelling at the industry, like, I don't want to fit in the box. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't have
I love it, by the way. So
But I think in a way, I can't talk about Kevin Costner, but I think in a way those two are related at one place, which is they want to stay free in a system that intends not to let the artist be completely free. Sometimes for the best, because when the artist is completely free, sometimes he's doing crazy things that only him understands. Well, and but still, I mean, we need fighters, and especially United States, where independent movies, the industry of independent movies is dying. We need fighters who says otherwise, and even if it doesn't work there, I'm pretty sure that in 20 years, people are still going to talk and write about the craziness of Megalopolis. So.
I think that I'm going to answer the question in a very different way because
Yeah.
I think that what we need more, I don't know if it's like filmmakers like that probably yes, but like what I miss, what I would like to see more is like her way of like sharing cinema in the terms, like there is something that I was very surprised when I was in the exhibition is that this curiosity that she feels for like someone who's on the street, but also for like Robert De Niro. You know what I mean? Like she's curious about everyone and also about the work of everyone, like of any filmmaker or, like I saw this like review of Godard when she made Cleo that was kind of like, oh my God, but she's still friend with him. You know what I mean? It's like she was curious with like about everyone and also everyone's work. And I feel that if you compare to these filmmakers that, not to these ones, but in general today, like I feel we think too much about like our own work and ourselves, and there is something about the feeling of like sharing and growing together and having curiosity for one another's work that I think that I wish that today was more like I'm being a little bit abstract on this
No.
answer, but I wish that today we worked a little bit more like that because I think that it would make everyone's work more interesting.
So I think you are doing it.
Are
It's
you
exactly what I felt watching your film. I really felt that, but I told you earlier, like the way people suddenly are people and not characters. I felt it so strongly. So I think there is a strong relation between your gaze, I guess.
Yes. No, and it has a lot to do with the personality of who we are, no? But the fact that, I don't know, that what I feel there, it's like, like she has like these small documentaries about other artists and she went to their places and filmed there, or like this program that I didn't know about, like the image. She had this program of like, she asked other people to talk about an image that they love, which was probably an excuse to meet other artists, no, at the end. So like this curiosity to
Sure.
meet people from this like genuine curiosity of learning about their work. I feel that it's something that today, because we're in this area of I don't know, like self whatever, we are like missing the opportunity to look at each other's and like to grow together somehow.
This is like an amazing way to end.
I thought it was too abstract. But
No, it's not. I think you as filmmakers, need to learn to ask the right questions, and us as interviewers as well, no? But I think asking the right questions is always the most difficult thing. We can always explain ourselves in the way we want, and we can construct this narrative and allegories and whatever. But learning to be curious and and point at the things that you don't entirely understand, but you find the courage to look in the eyes. Animals, like, good luck with that. So, we are now opening questions to the public. Tenim 5 minutillos per preguntes, que tingueu, comentaris que vulgueu fer, alguna cosa que haguem dit i us hagi enrabiat i de cop i volta tingueu ganes de llançar-nos una sabata, feu-ho verbalment. Tenim 2 micròfons corrent per la sala. Si no, jo tinc preguntes, cap problema. Vinga, I will ask a first question so you can... veieu que no mosseguen en absolut i que són gent supermaca i agradable. Per tant, no tingueu cap mena de por. Let me start. So Anya Varda is a very light filmmaker, very complex, but also very light. You guys, how do you try to maintain lightness in your work? Because we can, get into this deep thinking and get what we say in Catalan, enrocar-se. We can, tend to eat our, brains trying to figure our films out. But how do you maintain this sense of lightness in your work?
I think I'm not the best at doing that, by the way. I think that is a good question for me, and I should keep it in mind.
Okay.
It's like a good advice.
No, at the end, the girl is alive, which is lightness.
But because in which sense do you mean it? Like when we make films? Because I cannot say I'm light.
You're actually editing your third film right now.
And I'm in deep shit, It's like, so when you are like, when I work, like I take it seriously, like too seriously, because I wish I could do it in another way. But
then again, how can we be more Anya Varda and less ourselves?
But that's why I feel we have so much to learn about her, Like,
no clue.
Yeah. Yes, but I cannot say either that I work from lightness.
No, but maybe fighting against fear. I mean, what I felt and what I heard through all her work was this, and there will be doubts and questions, but still take a camera, go on the streets. And I think that if she has this relationship very concrete and spontaneous, it's also a way to tell herself, don't let anyone stop you and go beyond fear. And when you keep doing things, then it's not sacred. Like each movie is not something that's going to be overanalyzed. So I think it's also a way to, jump into it. And yeah.
Yeah, but also like light means many things, no? And what I feel that I learn a lot from her films as well is that the feeling of that, they are not kind of like hard to watch, or like that they end up in a way that leave you like so bad, like she's pro like something happy somehow, like, and that they are alive and things, and people are good people and all these. I feel that for me that this is something that I learn a lot from her, and that I try to do also in my films. But it also has to do on like the way you portray people, but also who you are portraying, and also how you see life. Because I think I tried to be optimistic, and I think that this is something that also, and she was optimistic. I think, no, that if you see life in color, or somehow you see good things in life, somehow you translate it into your films. Also, I think that the films are really like a way to, like you see a film and then you meet the filmmaker and you are like, okay,
Okay, this
like the
works.
films, yeah, because the films look like who we are, and I think that her films, if they are honest, obviously, that her films really look like who she was, and I think that that's why they have life.
I think
Now I feel bad about myself.
Well, but also they also talk about our darkness side, or our dark side.
put a Carla Simón in your life, please. Algú té alguna pregunta, dubte, comentari? Ja tenim una mà, em sembla? Perfecte. Don't feel bad about your answer.
Hi, thank you for the talk. It was really good. First of all, a commentary. What you said, Carla, about here.
Vale, o sea, es que estem molt foscos, vale.
No, no pasa res. What you said about Varda being interested in open love, like she would be interested in open love right now. She has a movie that's called Lions, Love and Lies.
Yeah, that's
And I really, really liked it. And it really reminded me of that movie when you said that, because it's about a threesome of hippies, like living really like unorthodoxly and really freely. And I don't know if
Yes.
it's really good.
No, it's good you say that, because we were talking before and I haven't seen this film. So it's like, I will watch it.
I really recommend it. I really like
Cool.
it. And also, I do find that Carla's gaze more similar to Varda than Audrey's. But I would like to know, like, each one of you, like a film of Varda's that has inspired you the most, or maybe that you would have wanted to do yourself the most, maybe that you wish you would have done. And that's it. That's the question.
I would like to do the most controversial one, I guess. I would say Le Bonheur. I mean, I know that her past was not easy, but I still think that it's magic that she doesn't say anything about this couple. She's not trying to explain, and you have to work your way through the movie. And sometimes you feel it's beautiful, there is sun, and there is a silent violence in that system, but she's not trying to picture it or pointing at it. You have to understand, and I think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, honestly, Le Bonheur, I think it's the film that I've most revisited, because of that most inspired me somehow in terms of tone and colors and the way the children play in this film. And yeah, there are many things that I need to rewatch sometimes, like scenes that I put sometimes in as a reference for my films. But if I had to choose one that I would have liked to do, I think it's Cleo, because I feel like...
I think she's smarter, because I picked the one that didn't work. So.
Well, Cleo, because
Story of my life.
Cleo worked very well, like when it
Cleo was a big success because it was in Cannes, and she won a prize. I can't remember if it was for the actress or for her.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think it was for the actress. And yeah, it was something major. It really put her under the lights. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think they asked her to make several more versions of Sick Woman in her last hours, which is amazing and talks a lot about what the industry expects from a filmmaker.
But isn't it this one that in the exhibition you have Madonna saying that that she wanted to make a remake?
Yeah, they wanted to make a remake with Madonna.
Ah, yeah.
I would have
But it
loved
never
to see
happened, no?
that. No.
I can't wait. But also there is something about this movie I was thinking, it's the relationship to time and how she treats time. And sometimes, and for some reason, I could relate Le Bonheur to Chantal Ackerman's work. And it's like, let's take the time. If you want to feel something, you have to trust. And sometimes it's a tricky game, but people are not going to get bored because you relate to those people. And that's how what she has to say starts to exist. And she's writing to that nowadays story, something that is deeper, but you have to give value to time, which is something very complicated now because honestly, our habits as viewers and the industry both work against times in movies.
So I guess she wouldn't have been a TikToker.
Yeah, but doing very long.
Very long. Okay, okay, all right. We have another hand here, and I think, yeah, this will be the last one because we're out of time. We're out of time.
Follower, Anglès. I found when Agnes Varda died, it was very sad because I thought something was passing in cinema, and that was a cinema of compassion. And I don't see that very much in cinema today. And even in your previous movies, Le Vermont and Alcaraz, these are very sensitive movies, but they're angry movies. And when I look at women filmmakers today, a lot of them are very exciting movies, like Anatomy of a Fool and The Substance in cinemas at the moment. They're exciting, but they are angry movies about dark forces in the world, particularly for women. Is there still compassion in filmmaking that we can still look forward to, and or do we live in a polarized world where actually those stories aren't as relevant or as important anymore?
I think I saw a movie recently. It was in Cannes, but it's not on screen yet. And I really, really loved it. And it reminds me, because you see bodies you never see on screen. It's Misericordia from Alain Guiraudy. So he worked a lot on, I usually film at the countryside and works with people from around. But there, it's very interesting because it's a mixed answer that I'm going to give you. There is something that convenes Agnes Varda's filmmaking because you see the people you not normally see. But it's also a bit dark comedy. So I guess we have to deal with the idea that Agnes Varda comes from a different time. And she was already saying it's not cheerful. What would she have said about nowadays? I mean, we are not going through the most cheerful time, obviously. So it's interesting because I feel some of the filmmakers are inspired by how she makes films, but will interpret it in another way because time has changed.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry because I didn't totally get the question. So I don't know if or maybe you can repeat or.
You were talking about how, passion in.
To be like, you have to like other people.
Yeah.
And that to me represents compassion for
Co-
everyone.
Compassion.
Okay,
Okay.
I couldn't get this one. Okay. So what about compassion? Sorry,
Is there room for that in modern cinema?
Yeah, as we're
yeah,
seeing
of course.
films
Yes,
like The
yes.
Substance, which is like
Okay.
exploitation in a way.
Yes. I mean, for sure, there's something that maybe we need to kind of pay attention on that a little bit more, I think. But not only on films. I think as a society in general, no, I think that it's a very important word somehow that we don't always practice, I think. So I think that there is a lot of room for it.
And maybe we're going so far with the idea of demonstration, like doing more crazy, more blood, more. In France this week, the big hit is Terrifier, which is very unexpected. But I think that people will have the desire to experience something completely different because it's paroxystic. We are going further and further. And at one point, it will have no meaning anymore, Provocation cannot be the only tool. So I guess people will have the need. I want to believe that people have the need to see something else.
It's actually interesting because with Terrifier, there is a current internet trend that actually sympathizes a lot with the character, the assassin clown character, and actually finds humanity and fragility in the clown itself. So people are looking for that. Maybe not in the most straightforward way, but I think even in Terrifier 3, there's still room for compassion or traces of.
Or
traces
that's your
of it.
definition of compassion, which is very interesting.
I think we can stay an hour longer talking about
Do you have
this.
something to do?
I must say, I think there is room for compassion, but not in film, in TV series. We should be very, very careful and very vigilant towards TV series, because this is the place where you can explore characters in time and take time to like understand each other. And I think maybe, there are TV series that are overseen because they're, pop culture and Netflix and whatever, that are more compassionate maybe than, current auteur cinema. And I don't know, this is a pop claim or reivindication I'm making. Please be aware and watch series with all your body and not just with your brain, maybe. Thank you. Thank you,
very
Audrey.
much.
Thank you, Carla. Un aplaudiment, sisplau. I moltes gràcies a vosaltres. Que tingueu bona nit.